Hello and welcome to Varieties of Slice of Life. As always, I am Anthony, and joining me today is the lovely Zach.
Hello.
And Jarrett's been lost to the Shadow Realms yet again, so we're just doing a shorter episode today. We are a bi-monthly podcast, and if this is your first time joining us, we post on the 1st and 15th of every month, always talking about one specific anime or a broad subject. Today we're going to be talking about anime-based games, so gamers rise up.
Video game.
Vidaya. Yeah, because a lot of the time, they'll make a fighting game is a really popular category when it comes to anime, like action animes especially. But sometimes they make other types of games, like visual novels and whatnot. So we're gonna be delving a bit into that. I know you said you wanted to. Let's start out with something that's not necessarily anime based, but does it have an anime around it? The Danganronpa series.
Yeah, it actually has a couple because as one based on the first game, and then they actually have the anime Danganronpa 3, which is actually the conclusion to the story of like the main characters of the first game. So like you actually have to watch the anime to get the full story of the series.
It's kind of interesting. I mean, does the game wrap it up in any way, or does it kind of like leave it ambiguous?
Kind of like each game kind of has like a little bit of a thing where it's like what could happen, like the like I don't want to like I love Danganronpa, and like it's one of those games that like I want everybody to play, so like I'd never be the person to spoil that, so I'm gonna try my hardest not to spoil anything. But it's like kind of the first and second game, they kind of like at the end they're like, ooh, what could happen to these characters? But then like the anime kind of is like, okay, this is what happened to the characters.
That's kind of cool. So what is the Danganronpa series about? I vaguely remember.
So all three games have like different characters, but it's always the same basic premise where it's like a group of like 15 or 16 students are put in are like forced by this bear to like kill each other if they want to escape because they're like trapped. So like the game it's the killing game, and the game is to like kill someone and get away with it in a class trial. And then if that person gets away with it, everybody else dies and they get to go free. But if they get caught, like if they get caught in the trial, then they're executed.
Jeez. So what do you play as the student that's murdering somebody?
Nah, you essentially just play as one of the normal students, and like you solve the mysteries essentially.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah, though in the games, like your character never really has like a reason to be good at solving the mysteries. Because in the first game, you're just a normal, like in each game, you're kind of just very normal. Because in the first game, you're the ultimate lucky student. In the second game, you're like, you don't even know your talent. And then the third game, you're like the ultimate piano player. So you just like, you don't even have much of a reason to be good at solving these mysteries. You just kind of do.
Interesting.
3 makes a bit of a better case, but
Are there any spin-off games? Because I could have sworn there was, but I might be confusing that with Persona.
Yeah, they actually have one that takes place between the first and second game called Ultra Despair Girls, where you play as the main characters. You play as the sister of the main character of the first game, and it's actually a 3D. Like the other games are like they're kind of like 2D in a 3D environment. It's like cut out, like the characters are like paper cutouts in a 3D environment. But in Danganronpa Ultra Despair Girls is like a 3D third-person shooter.
Huh. It's kind of interesting, actually. It's a cool take on a game like that, then. Because, yeah, I always remember their art style being that way, so that's kind of cool.
And like, I love that game. Like, it's kind of underrated, but I love it just because, like, because in every game you're in like an isolated environment, so you have no idea what's like happening outside. But that's the only game where like you are in the outside, so you get to see how bad things really are in this universe. So you just see like people just being murdered on the streets by like robots and stuff.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, I didn't know it was like this. I just thought it was like a game show-esque kind of thing. Damn. All right then. Are the games only on? What are the games on? Because I actually don't remember.
It was originally on the PSP, like the first game was on the PSP, and then the second game I think was also on the PSP. But then they got like PS Vita ports that had like voice acting and stuff. But then they got ported to PC, and I think like a couple consoles.
Oh, so they are on are they on Steam or are they just on PC in general?
Yeah, they're on Steam.
That's kind of cool.
They usually go on sale for like a really good price because they're already pretty. Danganronpa 3's the V3, which is the third game. That's a bit like pricey, but like the first, second, and Ultra Spare Girls are pretty cheap already, but then they drop even lower.
Huh. Well,
you can even get like a bundle with all of them.
Well, there you go. If you're looking to get them and you have a PC, then bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah. Remember, if you have any interest in playing this game, don't like look up anything about it, because like it is this game. In a game where like any character can die at any second, you kind of have to like cut off information flow and just kind of like play the game by yourself.
There's so many potential spoilers out there, you're just gonna ruin it if you do a little bit of digging.
Yeah. Like you literally like Google Danganronpa on Google Images and you'll probably get like at least like 5 spoilers. Like you'll probably find so many like dead characters that will spoil like great reveal.
Wow. I might pick that up at some point. I remember I've been wanting to play that, and I think you've been recommending that to me for a while too, so I might eventually actually pick that up and play through it.
Yeah. Like, it's probably my favorite, like, franchise. It's definitely my favorite franchise, and then, like, it's kind of like because I always have a hard time deciding what my favorite video game is, and it's always, like, a point of contention between, like, Okami or Danganronpa 2.
Okami's pretty good. I was about to say it doesn't almost counts as one, but it really is not in any way.
It's more of a fucking
platformer action thing. Hack and slash? Yeah,
kind of. Then like, and then even when it's Danganronpa, I always have a hard time deciding whether I like Danganronpa 2 or V3 more. Danganronpa 2 is like really fun, and they have some of the best characters. But V3 is a lot more tragic and like sad, and a lot better produced than the other two are.
How old is 3? Like, did it come out recently, or has it been a while?
It's been like not too long. Like I want to say like 2016, 2017.
Okay, so it's not out of the question for them to get a 4th game at some point then.
Maybe. It's kind of like a weird thing, because like Danganronpa, I think the director stepped down after that game, and the ending of that game kind of is like because I think the director stepped down, and then I think he said like, well, if anybody else wants to take the mantle, they can. But he kind of like salted the fields at the end of that game.
Oh yeah, I think I remember you telling me about that. Where it's just like, it's to continue this story, it would be an insane thing that would have to happen to start it up again.
Like, I don't know. I would love to see Danganronpa 4 or whatever, wherever they would call it at this point.
Yeah. Huh. That's kind of cool. Have the Danganronpa characters ever appeared in like a fighting game or anything like that? Because I know a lot of times they cross over into fighting games, like Blaze Blue has a lot of anime characters in it.
Nah, I don't think Danganronpa's really had much of like crossover with other things. Like they the company is called what is it? Fuck, I can't remember the name of the company, but they like a lot of their games tend to reference Danganronpa. Like there's a game called Conception, and there's just like a secret boss where you can just fight Monokuma.
Is that the bear thing?
Yeah, and then there was like another game where there's another game made by the same director. What's that? I can't remember the name of that game either, but it's like you're like these people who like are surviving on an island, but then like through one of the buildings you go through, there's just pictures of Danganronpa on it, and you can investigate it. The guy's like, hey, it's that weird game where like students kill each other.
Meta. That's kind of cool. Similar art style / vein of it is visual novels, and I know a lot of people play those because they're just abundant and range anywhere from being really good with deep stories and shit to just utter trash that is you feel bad about playing afterwards. The art's always usually pretty good. There's like a couple exceptions where I'm like, this is just an ugly game to look at.
I mean, a majority of the time that's just like Rimp made English stuff.
Yeah.
Usually Japanese ones are like well produced and made by company.
Yeah, because Japan actually cares about stuff like that because that's kind of just their media in general. So it's yeah. So some of the really good ones that I've played, not like great, but just good. Highway Blossom, oddly enough, has like kind of a heartwarming story. I haven't finished it yet, so maybe I'm wrong. The ending is like utter trash, but really good. Kind of a romantic. Oh fuck, is it still yaoi if it's girl and girl, or is it?
It's Yuri.
Yuri, that's right. It's like a Yuri subplot thing, and just a lot of interesting characters like looking for gold in the desert, and it's kind of interesting. I do wish they'd have more like puzzle elements because I love when visual novels like mix it up a little bit and throw like a random game thing in there. Always makes it nice. And then there's like there's a Russian one that I can't remember the fucking name of.
Yeah, the camp one.
Yeah, the camp one. I played that game so often. I'm gonna look for the name while I'm talking about it, but yeah, that game's really long, and every character has their own like unique ending to it. Oh, Everlasting Summer, that's right. All the characters are really weird, and they don't really explain what the fuck happened to you. And there's like 3 characters that you have to play the game more than once to even be able to like date. And I think I have like 10. Yeah, I have 10 hours in this game, and I've beaten 1 character. So I think there's like 8 characters total, or 9 characters. So yeah, you're gonna be in it for the long haul if you play through it. But good game.
I don't play like what I like to call like the more quote unquote normal visual novels, because like there are games like Danganronpa and Phoenix Wright that count as visual novels, but I personally don't count them.
Yeah,
they don't feel like those. Yeah, it's like I personally like I don't count them because they don't feel like it, but the ones I do kind of like that I do say feel like one is like, I mean, mostly because it was my first one and I kind of like remember it still pretty well, is Katawa Shoujo, which is like essentially what introduced America to like visual novels. It's just that 4chan decided to make a visual novel and it turned out pretty good.
What was Katawa Shoujo again?
It's like you go to a school of like essentially mostly disabled people.
Oh,
so
yeah.
like all the girls have like.
Was that really a 4chan thing?
Yeah, I don't remember the story behind it, but it derives from 4chan, where like a bunch of 4chan people are like, let's make a visual novel, and they did, and it turned out oddly good somehow.
Interesting. I didn't know that was actually made by. Because yeah, I heard that visual novel was like, because when you explained the premise of it to me, I thought it was like some kind of, I don't want to say joke because it sounds really insensitive, but there's like a lot of gimmicky visual novels like How to Fool Boyfriend and whatnot, where it's like the differing factor between each character is, you know, something great like, oh, they're all different kinds of birds, or they're all dinosaurs or some shit, you know.
And just, yeah, like this. It's kind of like weird because it's just like, oh, they all have disabilities. Like that's the gimmick of the game, and I'm just like, like that's a bit weird.
Yeah,
But it's not a bad game. Like some characters are better than others. Like I wouldn't like really recommend the game, but it's like all right. And this is another visual novel I actually really like that I've never beaten because I always get like it always starts to overwhelm me, so I stop playing it. But I'm trying again. That's a game called uh, Little Witch Romanesque, which is just like I love this visual novel because of the art style, which is kind of like it looks very drawn. Like I like the artist, and it looks like it's like sketched and stuff. And then like the dialogue isn't just like a thing on the bottom; it's like text bubbles that like pop up like a comic book. And the gameplay is like really cool because it's like a dice rolling, but then like as you learn spells, the dice rolls like cast spells, so you get like more and more stuff.
It's kind of interesting.
Like it's such an addicting like gameplay loop.
I love when they mix it up. Like Honey Pop does a fucking great job at. It's not. Yes, it's technically a visual novel, but it's focused more on like the weird puzzle gameplay aspect of it. But I mean, there is like dating and dialogue options and whatnot. So I wish more would do that. Like I would love to find a game that's like Honey Pop or like that, where it's not just sitting there and reading. Like you actually have fun things to interact with.
Yeah. I just wish more things could get as good as Honey Pop, because Honey Pop was just kind of like a success that came out of nowhere.
Yeah, Honey Pop 2 coming soon apparently, but
like because like most games are just like most games that come out are just like kind of like nothing, but like Honey Pop like came out of nowhere. Like no one really like kept track of it before it came out, but then it became like an instant overnight success.
oh yeah, I don't think they were ready for that either. Like it just fucking blew up.
I mean, yeah, I mean, not only is the gameplay fun, it had really good voice acting, which is kind of surprising.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's voice was unique enough, and the mannerisms that they like used. And I don't know if mannerisms is the correct vocal term for that, I guess, but just like what they used was really well because like everyone had like a unique speaking pattern and whatnot, so it was really cool. Plus a lot of secret characters, which was also nice. I'm excited for the second game to come out. I wish it would fucking come out already because it's been in production for like years now. Yeah, plus they have some interesting characters that I'm looking forward to seeing how they're going to handle, like the... I think she's a transvestite? I can't remember.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that whole whole controversy that happened.
Yeah, and then they're going to have like an option to just not have a penis there. So, I don't know, it's going to be an interesting menu, but
yeah, get the penis toggle.
But yeah, I mean, plus they have like a new art style, and I actually like the new art style more because like I remember liking the old art style, and then I actually went back and I was like, this looks okay.
I kind of like the artist of the new one because I've played a couple of visual novels with that artist, like with that artist did the art. Mm-hmm. But I still prefer the first game, but I don't mind the second one because I'm already kind of used to that art style because I played a couple of their games.
Probably should touch on the Sakura series. Most of them are trash, but there's like 2 or 3 that are like have a decent story. Like Sakura Spirits, they actually like took time to like sit down and actually write like a cohesive story and decently well written characters. I think this was their first one too. And then the production guy's like, no, fuck that. We just need to pump these out faster. And so he just like essentially cut the budget for writing and just started pumping shit out. So now everything after the first one's kind of garbage.
Yeah, and all right, like I don't know if you know, but there's this whole like thing where the artist is trapped by a contract, and the guy's like essentially like just using her, and it's very sad. There's like the art's good. Like I feel bad for the artist that she has to put up with this monster of a producer.
Yeah, like don't support the Sakura people like at all. Unless if you can find the game on like Humble Bundle, because I don't think any of the money goes towards the producer. But like, don't pay a fucking dime for these games just because that asshole doesn't deserve any of it. Thankfully, all the ones that I've gotten, I've either obtained through legal means, wink, or I just ended up getting like a Humble Bundle. So,
I mean, I haven't really played many of them. Like I played like a couple of like the super short ones. Probably the only one that like, because they make a lot of them that's just like you can play in like an hour, like Sakura Halloween or whatever they call that one.
Sakura Santa is actually really good. I wanted to talk about that one because Christmas is right around the corner, ladies and gentlemen. Because that one it takes about 5 hours, I think. I played it in like one afternoon to get all of the endings. And it's really good because it's the love interests are Santa, a fox spirit, and like your childhood best friend. And then,
yes.
So then, yeah, you know. But there's like a unique ending for each one of them, and then so it's on like a day timer where it's like, oh, who do you want to go hang out with today, and you select like whoever you want. But if you can somehow even that out to have spent time with all of the characters. They all, for some reason, get like maid cafe jobs, I think. It's not really explained why or how, but that is also an ending, which is kind of nice. But I don't know, the story was just kind of nice and heartwarming for some reason.
Yeah, the only like extended one I played all the way through was Sakura Swim Club, which was decent. I liked the characters.
Yeah, Sakura Swim Club wasn't too bad. A lot of porn towards the end, like a lot. But
I mean that tends to be how a lot of these games are. Like, usually games like visual novels and stuff, they tend to like, you know, not have porn towards the beginning to kind of like build, because maybe they'll have like one or two scenes. They don't want to rush into it, but usually it's like if the game like splits into routes, then it's just like that route's filled with it.
Yeah. Which is an interesting way of going about it, but I guess it builds suspense.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to like rush into it. Like, you kind of want to at least have them have an established relationship before they start just going at it.
Hey, you want to fuck? Yeah, sure. I remember I played one, which it's like a still being made. Like, I just got like a. It's not necessarily anime. It's still a visual novel though. And it's called like Life with Mary, and they don't show anything until like hour 5 or 6, I think. Like, it's really fucking far in there. And then even after that, it's more like focused on the relationship. And so that was just really interesting. I appreciate the time and effort that they put into it.
Yeah. This didn't cross my mind before, but like I just recently this just now like popped in my head, like one of my favorite visual novels, Nekopara. Oh yeah,
Nekopara. What, they have 3 games and then a game 0, I think.
Yeah, it's like they have 3 games. They have like a short bonus game where it's like right before the first one, and then they have a more like a longer prequel game, which it's like them as like kids or whatever.
It's kind of interesting. How are those games? I've seen them pop up, but I've never actually played one.
I really like them. Like this is when I first started to like notice like visual novels these days are looking amazing. Like, it's like, because I kind of got like bored of visual novels after like kind of like playing like a couple every year. Just like they were just boring to me. It was like, oh, just like the same picture of a character, and then maybe sometimes they move around. But then like Nekopara blew me away because it was like in 3D and the characters animated as they talked. I was like, whoa, this is crazy.
I mean, yeah, it adds some variety. It's like I always hate when they're like, "Oh, we're doing this and it's being described as this," and there's like no visual aid for that. It's like I get that you want me to imagine it, but I'm literally staring at these characters not moving a fucking inch.
Yeah, and then like, I just like it because all the there's like a whole bunch of characters, and they're all like very like the personalities are so widely different. So you're gonna find one that you love, and I like all of them because they're all so funny and silly. Got 6 cat girls and a sister.
I do want to talk about Doki Doki Literature Club real quick.
Good.
Oh god, that game was an emotional roller coaster that I went on with Zach at like 4 a.m. one day. I'm probably gonna make a video on it because I found the chat logs not that long ago. So that'll be a fun experience. But essentially, I asked Zach, I'm like, "Hey, do you know anything about Doki Doki Literature Club?" And spoiler alert for, if you haven't played it yet for some fucking reason.
Yeah, or at least heard about I feel like people must have at least heard about how crazy it is.
Yeah,
it's kind of hard to like not know anything about it.
I know. And then you told me, it's like, "Oh yeah, I looked up TV Tropes page on it, and it's fucking crazy. You need to play it." And so I played through it, and it's like the first thing you get is like a warning message being like, this game has some, highly something. It's like not for the faint of heart. You must be over the age of 13 to play it or some shit. And I was like, okay, it's kind of weird. And then I get into it, and it's like really cheerful and like really just like a fucking shift in tones immediately. Then you play it, and I think I kind of deduced that Sayori had depression, and you just like respond with okay. That was my favorite. Is you just respond with very just mild, non-hint giving away things, and then like I remember I ran into when I first met Monica. I remember I sent you a screenshot. I'm like, she makes me uncomfortable how she's like staring at me, and everyone else is like looking off to the side. Yeah, it turns out, but the big twist really got me, and that game still has like one of the most existential moments for me, where like my character's name was Simon, and then at some point Monica's like, "Oh yeah, Simon," or should I say Anthony? And like my heart skipped a beat because I guess it like goes through your files and actually finds your name or something in your computer system.
Yeah, my favorite part about that is that like you kept saying, like you were saying the game was crashing when you try to put your real name in, and then when that happened, I was like, oh, it makes sense. That's why the game wouldn't let you put your real name.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah, because it crashed like 2 times when I put my name in. Like very shortly after, like before it was like maybe 5 or 6 clicks in, and then I reloaded it, and it's like, oh yeah, no, you gotta restart it. So it was weird. But yeah, that was an experience. I recommend checking it out. Dan Salvato says he has another game in the works that's a visual novel like Doki Doki, but I don't know what that means. And it sucks because it's kind of ruined the surprise. Like maybe it'd be cool if he released it under a different company name, just to fuck with people day one, But yeah. So anyways, a bit away from the visual novels, let's move on to fighting games, because there are a fucking plethora of those. Start out with Eyes of Heaven from the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure series, which is really good. It's like a 3D 2-on-2 fighting game. Yeah, it's you can play as a good chunk of the cast of the main JoJo's, even in Part 8, but there's only 2 characters from Part 8. Because I think production started like really early on in Part 8's creation, so. But, yeah, I mean, that game's got some really cool moments where like a lot of people have like unique dual attacks that they can do, or their stands do like things together. Yeah, even like the characters that have like passive stands or like power-ups, like you can eat some of Antonio's food to get like it's like a health buff or something before certain fights. Just kind of cool. They have other JoJo fighting games, right? I haven't actually played any of them.
Yeah, I mean they have obviously they have the one that came before it, which was
J-Star Battle?
I said All-Star Battle. No, well, there is JoJo in that because they have Jonathan and Joseph, but then they had a JoJo fighting game before that, like a 3D fighting game. I can't remember the name of it, but it was more of like it was in the same style as Eyes of Heaven, but it's like the fighting was a bit different because like it was like a circular arena and you like always faced each other.
Oh yeah, wasn't it like more of a traditional fighter in that way? Or it's like you're always facing each other and it's one-on-one kind of thing.
In a way, yeah. In a way, yes, but in a way, also no, because the game controlled really weird. I don't think anybody really liked it because of that.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat did something like that too about that time where it was like a 3D thing that you were always kind of facing each other, and then they took that shit out because everyone was like, this is just stupid.
And then there's like the really old classic one, which is like the fucking...
Is that just part 3?
I can never remember the name. Yeah, it's that one. That one's just part 3. Though young Joseph is also a playable character
for some reason.
That game's actually like solid though. Like that fighting game holds up today because like I think as weird as it sounds, a fighting game based on JoJo, which you would assume would be really complicated, in my opinion, is the easiest fighting game there is, and is a good entry point if you want to get into fighting games, because it is so like crazy simple.
Yeah, because fighting games can get super elaborate, like fucking Skullgirls and whatnot. So,
yeah, like if you get the concept of like quarter circle forward and like half circles and all that, like Hadoukens and stuff, then you can just play the JoJo Part 3 fighting game, because like almost all the moves are like simple things like quarter circle and then 2 buttons.
That's kind of cool. I appreciate when they kind of simplify it so that way anybody can do it, not seasoned veterans in games. But yeah, Bleach has a really, I don't want to say really good because nobody really plays it, but they have some really cool fighting games. They had one called like Resonance or Soul Resonance, I think, where it was for the Wii. I mean, they had it for like other systems, but I had the Wii version because I didn't have any other console that could play it. And I remember to activate your final move, which is your Bankai, you had to shake the nunchuck. So it was kind of interesting because I've never actually seen anybody use like the motion gauge thing in the nunchuck itself. So that's kind of cool. Plus, that game has some fucking insane scaling. I'm going to put up 2 pictures now of characters where you are the size of one of the characters' feet. And he is like 30 stories tall and controls very interestingly. But he's interesting to play against because he has a lot of health, but you almost never miss an attack. So it's kind of just like a timed thing. How long can you withstand the fight? But then they also have a game kind of like what was that game series that we were talking about? Dynasty They have a game kind of like Dynasty Warriors where you go around and fight groups of enemies. And then you'll have like a mini boss here and there, and then you'll actually have a fight later on. But they're all really good. A lot of Japan exclusive ones, which is kind of sad. But Bleach is kind of weirdly more underground now from like the big 3 that they used to be.
Yeah. I think when it comes to like video games, like Shonen Jump based video games are like tend to be really good. Not the crossovers as much. All-Star Battle is cool from like a conceptual standpoint, but gameplay wise it's kind of trash.
Oh, what's that game that had JoJo, Yugi, fucking Dragon Ball characters in it that looked really bad?
I can't remember. It's in the same series as like All-Star Battle. It's like, yeah. Is All-Star Battle something else? Because there's J-Star, it's J-Star Victory Versus, and then they had like another one which was like set in the real world that mixed with these mangas, and it looked crazy bad.
Yeah, because it says like Goku with his huge eyes, and then there's just like a dude with like a regular face. It just looks so jarringly different.
And you're fighting in like New York and stuff. Like it's really weird.
It's like you have these fantasy characters and you're putting them in the most boring fucking place in the world. Oh God, like I don't know.
Like I think Victory Versus looked cool, but it wasn't fun to play. Mostly because everything was so like long winded. It's like the stages were big and you had to like run at each other, and then like every attack you did was way too long and animated.
Yeah, some of the Dragon Ball fighting games that I've played are similar to that, where like the stage is just fucking huge. And like I remember my character got lost once because I forgot how to fucking fly because I was brand new to playing this. I was like running around in these trees and my friend is like flying above me and we're just like trying to kill each other. Uh, have you played any Dragon Ball fighting games? I know that some of them are really good and some of them are like okay.
Yeah, I played a couple of the Budokai games, but like one of my favorite games, like one of my most memorable games ever is Budokai Tenkaichi 3, which is like I want this to get I think they did an HD re-release of Budokai, but I want them to do an HD re-release of Budokai Tenkaichi 3 because this game is amazing and it probably has one of the biggest rosters in video games ever.
Really?
Like if there's like a Dragon Ball character you can think of, but like at least somewhat like fought like a tiny bit, then they're probably a playable character in this. Like you got everything from like all the movie characters like Brawly, all that, and then they even have like smaller characters like freaking Chi-Chi, like young Chi-Chi.
Huh.
It's a playable character, and even Grandpa Gohan, which is like the guy who fucking finds Goku in the beginning of the original Dragon Ball.
Wow. Yeah, Bleach kind of does that too in one of their fighting games where like the roster has some of the movie villains, which is kind of cool because the movies are not written by Kubo. So it's kind of cool that they included them in the roster. I appreciate when they do that because it doesn't necessarily add like canonability to them, but it fleshes out their character just a bit more. But yeah. Fuck, what are some of the really good fighting games that there are out there?
I liked some of the Naruto fighting games.
Oh yeah, Naruto has some really good fighting games actually. Because Naruto is like the perfect breeding ground for fighting games because all the characters have insane special attacks and weird designs. But like, what's that game that made a 3D Naruto game? That fighting game. Because they're a really good company. I can't remember what the hell they're called though.
I don't know.
But fucking, how many are there? A lot of Naruto fighting games. I've only ever seen like 2, I think.
I remember there being like a good bit because I played a couple of them. Like I really liked them. So I think there were like more 2D ones, and then there were just like 3D ones that were pretty good.
Give me a second. I'm looking up more. Oh fuck! I forgot Attack on Titan had a video game. I think it did really badly too, didn't it? I've heard nothing but bad things from it.
I don't really remember.
A second
Yeah,
game
they made
came
it.
out? I didn't know. Oh, Jump Force. That was the game.
Jump Force is a really bad one. But I know they made a sequel to the Attack on Titan game.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Nah, I don't know what to say.
Oh, I was just gonna say, the My Hero fighting game. I heard that didn't do too well. Like, I heard it was okay.
Yeah, it looked like I thought like even early on it looked all right. I know they're making a One Punch Man fighting game.
Yeah, that's got kind of a cool mechanic with Saitama where he still does the one punch thing, but like when you have him on your team, it takes him like 3 minutes to get there.
Yeah, because it's like this is like one of the reasons why I don't really like Japanese fighting games very much. Is like a lot of them have this like thing where it's like 2-on-2 or 3-on-3. I don't really like that concept, but like I love the way they do it in this one though. Is like it's like essentially a 3-on-2 if you pick Saitama, because Saitama's gonna be late to the battle. but once he gets there, he just wins, and it's like that's so good because that's just what the anime is in general. It's like the characters are fighting for their lives while Saitama's just like not there yet.
Fucking around.
But then once he gets there, it's over and he wins.
Yeah, I mean, that was always my thing. Is like I wanted a One Punch Man fighting game, but I didn't know how they would handle Saitama. I'm like, he'd either not be in the game or he'd have some insane like gimmick, and I'm glad they gave him the fucking crazy gimmick. You want to talk about the Clan Ad game?
No, I don't know I don't know enough about the Clan Ad games. Like I never like I'm not well versed in just the visual novel of Clan Ad, just the anime.
Fair enough. All right, so do you want to talk about the One Piece Pirate Warriors game?
Yeah. Like One Piece has like a lot of games. Like they have like adventure games, and then they have fighting games, obviously. I think they have like Burning Blood, but my favorite and the one that got me into One Piece in the first place is One Piece Pirate Warriors 3, because like I remember I was looking at Tyler, who people who don't know is mine and Anthony and Jarrett's friend. I was browsing his Steam list. I saw that he had like a One Piece game, and I always thought One Piece was like interesting conceptually. So I was like, I'll try this out. So I downloaded it on his PC because I was staying at his house, and then I played it. I stayed up all night playing this game because it was so much better than I thought it was going to be. Because I thought it was just going to be a fighting game. I was like, I'll just play a One Piece fighting game. No, it was a Dynasty Warriors type game, like made by the people who actually make Dynasty Warriors. And this game enthralled me because the gameplay is so fun. And then like because of that game, that's what got me into being obsessed with One Piece.
And have you seen all the episodes to One Piece?
Oh God, no.
Okay.
I'm not even going to attempt that. I'm not that insane.
Yeah, there are over 1,000 episodes by now, which is
Yeah, what I did was like I started watching One Piece, and I started like I essentially found like started at the arc that was currently happening, which was the whole cake arc, which required me to like read up a bit to like so I could skip a couple arcs, because like the game ends at the Dressrosa arc, and then like there are like 2 arcs after that, which leads into Whole Cake. So I had to like read the wiki to get some information so I could make that skip.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. Fuck yeah! I think I was there that night when you started playing that, like insanely, and just never stopped. Yeah, I mean, that is a perfect example of how important video games are, because it'll get you into almost anything. So try shit out if you want. You never know what you might fucking find out there.
I mean, I like those games. Just I think anime video games are good just because like they're more of a condensed version of the story. So like people who want to get into the series can actually like enjoy a fun game while also kind of getting into the story without having to watch a million episodes or read a million chapters.
I do really want to, not really quickly, but I do want to talk about. Do you remember the Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist of the Roses game?
Fucking love that game. I love that game.
Really good game. So fucking difficult though.
Yeah, that game is so hard.
It's like chess, but Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's... Oh god, like if you just know the anime or like the card game, this is like next to nothing like that.
Like even the story is weird because it's like it's all the characters from the anime, but it's like ancient Egyptian like versions of them, because you're in like the past or something.
Yeah, you're like sailing around on a ship just dueling people.
The game has like. That game is kind of like is like weirdly creepy though, because like it's very like it has like it doesn't have like it's not high energy. It's very like toned down. Like the music's kind of like creepy and just like the way things are. It's very hard to describe.
Yeah,
but, like as a kid, it creeped me.
Yeah, it's like a black void in the background. There's no like during the like dueling movement segments and all that.
It also doesn't help that like when you pick Kaiba's side, he kills the other dude.
Fuck. And then I remember the attacks for like the cards would like go through like this whole fucking intro where like the card, like the monsters would walk up to each other and then like whichever one would attack, and like I remember if the one survived the first attack, it would then attack back and destroy the other monster.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, like it definitely like makes the game take a lot longer, but it's really cool just to see the animations of the monsters fighting each other.
Oh yeah, because I mean in the show, yeah, you saw it and like you play the game, but it's, I don't know, it felt different. Like you're in control and this like a weird 3D environment with like you're in like a coliseum sometimes, and I remember the first two opponents you have to fight are the bug guy and the dinosaur guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember their names, but like dear God, they are not easy foes.
Yeah, the villain side's even harder. I think it was the villain side that was much harder. So like one side is like exponentially harder than the other one because you can be a good guy or a bad guy. Like you decide that at the beginning.
Yeah,
And like, that depends on who you fight. Like the good guy fights like the villains, and then the bad guy fights the heroes.
it's just kind of cool. I appreciate something like that. It's just not, it's just the same story, but you have a different set of cards.
And then like one side's just so much harder than the other one.
I know that speedrunning for that game is like insanely RNG based.
Oh yeah, because that's one of the reasons why the game is so hard, is because the only way to get new cards is by beating the people, and then even then, all you get is you get 3 random cards that they used in that game, in that match.
Yeah, and it's out of 40, so you could just, it's like what minimum you have to play, you have to beat them like 15 times to get all their cards, and that's if you have perfect RNG.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that game takes a fucking forever to speed. I think it's like one of the longest speedrunning things in history. I know the oldest is some other Japanese RPG game where you have to fucking, it's like a thing you have to purchase, but it takes like 2 weeks or whatever in real time. Anyways, what are some other really good games? Fate Stay Night, I know they have, or not Fate Stay Night, but just the Fate games. I know they have some pretty cool fighting games.
I didn't even know they had any fighting games.
I'm pretty sure they do. I might just be thinking of somebody else using a move like Gates of Babylon. I just remember really cool attacks. But yeah, pretty much any action anime that's been around for more than like 5 years, I imagine they probably have a game of by now.
Yeah, there's this one crossover fighting game that I really want to play, but it's like kind of, because I don't think it's ever been ported on PC, and it's like only like on PS4 and like arcades and stuff. It's called Dengeki Bunko Fighting Climax, and I want to play this game because like this is like the best crossover fighting game I've ever seen, because it has like, because it's a crossover like a bunch of properties from the Dengeki Bunko, which is like, it's kind of like a light novels, people who publish light novels. So it's like all of their characters. So you get characters like Kirito, the girl, like the characters from like a certain scientific railgun, and you get like I think you even get the one girl from the Devil's a Part-Timer. Like you get the girl from that.
That's kind of cool. Because that's a lot of properties, actually.
Yeah, it has like so many characters in it, and that's why I want to play this game so much. And one of my favorite bits about it is that like my favorite voice actress, Kugumi Rie, she voices 2 of the playable characters in that game. She voices Taiga and Shauna, so you could essentially just have the same voice actors fighting each other.
Have you ever played Digimon World?
Yes, I played Digimon World 3, I think it was the one I played.
I know that game's really long. Or I know the first one's really long, at least.
Digimon's a weird series, because I don't know if you played a lot of Digimon games, but like every Digimon game is different.
Like completely, like how they play?
yeah, like completely different. Like even the World Series, the games are so exponentially different from each other. Because it's not like Pokemon where the anime is based on the games. It's like the other way around with Digimon. So like every Digimon game's so different than the last.
That's kind of interesting, though. I mean, it's probably leads to something like, oh yeah, the third game is the absolute best because it's got this fighting mechanic or whatever. It's like,
Yeah, I think it's generally regarded that World 2 is better. I like World 3, but I think that's like one of the one people care about the least in the World Series. But
I've
then there's
seen
like other good ones like Sun and Moon was also pretty good, or was it Dusk and Dawn? No.
Got Dusk and Dawn, Sun and Moon, Midnight and Afternoon.
Though Cyber Sleuth was recently ported to PC, and like I haven't tried it yet to see if my computer can run it, but I've been wanting to play this game like crazy bad. Like when I saw Cyber Sleuth, I was like, I have to play this game,
What
and
is?
like it's a Digimon game, but it's like I like the concept of it because it's like you're in the like you're in like a kind of like a it's kind of like a social like media thing. It's kind of like imagine Digimon in the Oz from Summer Wars. Is essentially what Cyber Sleuth is.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, like you're fighting in the internet, like because in Cyber Sleuth, like the Digimon are like because in the other Digimon games usually it's like you're in the digital world and everybody has Digimon, but in this like Digimon are like lesser known and you're like finding them and stuff in like underground places, but then like the above ground places are like where everybody just hangs out and talks.
That's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah, 'cause there's two. I think it's called the Digimon Story series, but there's like Cyber Sleuth and there's another one, and like you're like a detective, I think, in one of them,
Ooh.
and you're solving like cybercrime.
The cyber police. That's cool though.
So they recently ported them to. It was only on PS4. They recently ported them to PC as like a double pack.
Um, are there any? No, there is first-person shooter anime games. Now I think about it, it's like they're really dumb because I think it's like Gun or Gal Gun. I think it's a series I'm thinking of.
Galgun's fucking awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
It's hilariously stupid but fun. Like if you can get behind the cheese, it's actually pretty fun, and the characters are pretty funny. Like I like the characters of Galgun.
yeah. It seems interesting. I've never played it, but I've seen a couple of YouTubers that I watch just like fuck around with it for a bit. Definitely seemed interesting. A lot of plot there. Do they actually show anything, or is it all just implicit? Implicit.
Yeah, I don't think it's just like panties and
Uh,
maybe bras. That's about it. Like
Another really good series, just the Senran Kagura series in general, because they have a couple different game versions. Like they have a Bon Appetit, which is like a rhythm cooking game. I think it's just a rhythm game, but it's like cooking themed.
yeah, and then they have Peach Beach Splash, which is like a third person shooter.
Yeah, and then they have a pinball game. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they just came out with a pinball game.
It's so weird. Like, I appreciate it. I love the like oddity that is that series, but I think we talked about them last week too. But
Yeah, I mean, I just love those games. Like the gameplay isn't amazing. Like the gameplay's kind of like takes way too long and is really like button mashy and boring. And that's coming from someone who fucking loves Dynasty Warriors, ironically. But like, it's just not that fun. But like, I think it's still worth playing just because the characters are really good. Like they're all like I said. There's like I'm pretty sure I said this like last time. It's like there's like 25 characters, like 20 or 25 characters. You're gonna find a few that you like.
yeah, yeah, probably with that big of a roster, you're either way too picky or you're just not into these kind of things.
That just reminded. I don't know how this didn't cross my mind at all. speaking of 20 to 20, like 20 or 25 characters, my favorite, like one of my favorite video games, like in Bang Dream Girls Band Party.
Oh yeah. I think I saw that downloaded on my phone too. Yeah, go ahead and tell us about that.
That's it started off as an anime. Actually, I think it started off as a book, but then like no one really cared about the book, and then they made like an anime, and then they made a game, and then they made a second anime that's more based on the game. It's kind of like weird going through the thing because essentially it's like Bang Dream has like a weird history where they wanted to make this franchise, but no one cared about it. Like no one gave a crap about this franchise, and then they made this game that exploded, and then they became like a super big pop franchise. But it's like a rhythm game, and it's really good. It's really good. Like all the music's really good, and they have like tons of like really good covers. Like if most like really popular anime songs have been covered in this game. Like Full Metal, Gurren Lagann.
Oh yeah. It plays kind of like Guitar Hero, but for your phone. Is a good way of explaining that.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like a cool, fun rhythm game with a lot of. There's collectibles. There's a gachapon thing. There's a story mode. I think I haven't gotten too in depth with most of the stuff, but
yeah, kind of. Because like there's like this is the reason why I love the game is because there's like so many characters, and then like there's a good story to it all. There's the main story, which is like the 5 bands come together to kind of like put on a concert. And there's the band stories, which are like you kind of see the formation of some of the bands or just see like a story that they're in. And then but then there are the events which change. Like I think there's like 2 or 3 every month where you get like a story where they pick like a couple characters from across the whole game or a full band, and you get to see like a nice little story with them, like like the characters going on like a skiing trip or watching the stars or something. It's all very good, and then you wouldn't like expect it, but this game is like the game actually has like a lot of character development and stuff. Like characters actually evolve throughout the story. They're not just like stagnant one-note characters.
That's kind of cool though.
Yeah, like one of my favorite characters, Sayo, who started off as my least favorite character. Like I hated her with a passion the first time I saw her.
Mm-hmm.
Like in her band story, she's just insufferable. But she had so much character development that she's like one of my favorite now.
Wow.
It's like her whole thing is like she had an inferiority complex against her twin sister, so she hated her twin sister, and she's just so like boring so boring and just wants to be perfect. I'm just like, I don't like this character. But then she like learned to get over her complexes, learned to like what it means to play guitar, and like learned to love her sister, and it was like such a good character.
I know Bleach has a game kind of similar to that. Not like a rhythm game, but just like has like story elements and collectibles and events that happen too. I remember downloading it and then just getting really bored with it. Like almost immediately, just because there was so much reading. I was like, I want to just kill shit. I'm not really... Like, if I'm not prepared for reading, I'm not going to enjoy myself. But if I'm like, I go into this knowing, yeah, this is going to involve a lot of reading, I usually come out the other end pretty decently.
Mm.
Well, yeah, well, is there anything else you want to talk about then?
I was like, I don't know. There's a couple series like I would love to talk about. Is like we can wrap it up if you really want to.
No, go ahead. What series do you want to talk about?
I mean, I wanted to talk about Zero Escape for a bit because
oh yeah,
Zero Escape is like alongside Danganronpa and like my love for them just because of how bonkers these series are. And Zero Escape is like the epitome of bonkers.
Yeah. I know like a two or three things about Zero Escape, and it's just fucking insane from what I've just a little bit that I've seen of it.
Yeah, and like I love the gameplay. Like I loved the gameplay of like Danganronpa because it was like this cool like it's like I love mystery games, so like that series was fun because you're solving like it's a mystery game, but Zero Escape is like escape rooms. It's like a puzzle game, and like everything is like you're stuck in a room and you have to find your way out of the room, and that's cool.
Yeah, then they also what it's like 777 and then
999.
999, not 777. What was the other one?
It's 999, Virtue's Last Reward, and then Time Dilemma. Zero's Time Dilemma.
Yeah, I remember when 999 came out because I thought it was kind of a cool like naming concept. I remember that's what caught my attention, and then like years later, I remember I brought that up to you. You're like, oh yeah, that series, it's fucking sick.
Yeah, like I have a funny story with the whole thing. It's like I watched a video where it was like top 10 DS games, and I saw one that was where it was. I think it was before it was even called like Zero Escape, because before the Zero Escape was even made, it wasn't called Zero Escape 999. It was called 9 Hours, 9 Persons, 9 Doors.
Yeah,
and that was just the title. And I saw this game. I was like, this game looks cool. I want to play this game. And like I tried emulating and stuff, but I couldn't get it to run properly. So it's just kind of like shut out of my mind. It was like one day I'll be able to play this game. I was like, I'll try. And then that and the second game came out on PC as a double pack. And I was like, yes. So then I played through the whole series and loved it.
I think it's only like $45, and it goes on sale quite often too. So I say pick it up if you like puzzle games, because that game's pretty sick.
Yeah, and then like the story of all three games is absolutely crazy, insane, and confusing and convoluted.
Yeah,
like it's so weird because like essentially every place you end up, like you'll find something that like is loosely based on like a concept or a theorem or something, and then a character will go out of their way to explain it. Like there's a puzzle in one room where you have to like construct a mannequin out of different pieces, and then one of the characters like, hey Junpei, doesn't this remind you of the Ship of Theseus problem?
Oh yeah, don't they have like the trolley problem at some point too?
I wouldn't doubt it. and then like and everything in this game is real. Like I thought like when they're talking about like all this bonkers stuff, I thought like most of it was like fake. It's all real. Like when they talked about and this is an important concept in all three games, the morphogenetic field, I was like, there's no way that's real. And then it turns out it's actually real, and I'm like, what?
What is that?
So the morphogenetic field is like, it has a thing to do with biology and then social. The biology was like kind of like disconnected cells that somehow serve like a purpose together. But then there's the social morphogenetic field, where like essentially it's a network of information that people like give to and pull from. And like the tests that involve the morphogenic field is like they put rats through a maze, and it was like, I think it was something like the rats failed like hundreds of times when they first went through the maze, and then the rats like gave birth to new rats, and then those rats ran the maze, and they solved it like in under like 20 attempts.
Huh.
Yeah, so it's like this weird like psychic like field that people can access, and like this has so much to do with this series, and it's insane.
That's weird. That's cool, but that's weird. It's like they sat down like, what can we make a game about?
Yeah. And then it's like in every game is like it's kind of cool because you're in a death game, kind of like Danganronpa, but it's like different. Like in the first game, in the first game, like you're just trying to escape the place, and you have like numbered wristbands and numbered doors, and your numbers have to like add up to the numbers so you can go through the doors. And the second game is like this weird like, I don't know, the prisoner problem or whatever, where you had to like ally or betray people to get like 9 points so you can escape the place.
Japan is like weirdly obsessed with death games in a weird way.
Yeah, but yeah, but the game's just so fun because like, and then like there's like a timeline of the game. Like you can like see the route that you're taking, like the route that leads to each ending and stuff, and like it's all in canon. Like all the endings are canon.
Really?
Yeah, like I'm not gonna explain how that all works, but essentially like everything you do, even the endings where everybody dies horrifically, are within canon.
Huh. It's kind of cool. Kind of weird, kind of cool.
And like there's one thing I wanted to. Oh, yeah, and then like, and then the only problem is that like a lot of people agree with this, that the third game is not as good as the first two, and like I kind of agree with that. Like the third game's kind of fun. It feels a lot different than the first two, but then like the ending's not very good because like the villain of the game kind of comes out of nowhere. Like you're not really expecting him, and then he comes out of nowhere, and they're like, "Why did you cause the apocalypse?" And he's just like, "Because I wanted to kill this other person that would have made a bigger apocalypse."
All right.
So like, so essentially, like you confront the villain, and then he's like, "There's a greater villain," and you know nothing about this greater villain. Like they don't reveal any information about the real villain of the series.
That's kind of dumb.
And
Like,
then my favorite bit of my favorite bit of the whole series is that like the entirety of this series was all happened because of a snail, and like that's the greatest like thing ever.
Uh-huh. Yeah, this game's sounding more and more insane the more I'm learning about it.
It was like there was a snail on a path, and that caused the apocalypse.
Oh boy, it's that butterfly effect thing.
Yeah, like the game has a lot of that. Like essentially, like that's what kind of has to do with the butterfly effect. And then like, also I don't like the third game very much because they kind of ruined the characters from the first game. Because in the third game, the main character, the Junpei from the first game, who's the main character of the first game, he's in the third game, but he's like insufferable dick in the third one.
Uh-huh. It's weird. I don't know why they do that. They just bring back characters just to ruin them, it feels like.
Yeah. Like because the first and second game have like all of the characters are pretty good, but then the third game, like half the characters are just really bad.
Was that? I wonder if that's why only the first and second game are in that bundle.
Well, because the third one was already on PC before the bundle came out.
I did not. Huh.
That's another series I'd really recommend playing. Like I would definitely recommend playing it. Just, like if you can't like, at least make it to the second game, because the second game is so good. Like the main characters of the second game are so funny. Like Sigma and Phi are like two of the best video game duo ever, because they're just like they just make fun of each other the entire game, and it's so hilarious. Like I'm glad that Sigma returned for the third game, because he's such a funny character, because he's like one of my favorite like jokes that they never explain this joke, but there's a joke where the Sigma, for some reason, every time he reads something about cats, he starts speaking like in cat puns. and,
Oh.
and they never explain why.
I love that. It's so
Well,
stupid, but I love it.
Yeah, because like you're reading something about Schrodinger's cat, and he starts making cat puns, and like, why are you doing that? It's like, I don't know. It's just been a thing that's all been happening my whole life, and just like, why though?
Is there any talk of a fourth game coming out, or is it just going to be those three?
Yeah, probably not. Like, as much as I'd like a fourth one, I'm not sure how they would do a fourth one, because like the second one kind of set up the third one. So I'm not sure how they would do a fourth one. I wish they would, just not to leave it on how the third one ended. Yeah. The third one ended really badly. Yeah. And it's also like one of those cases, like how I said the first game was like, it was called something different before the Zero Escape series, because it's its own standalone game. Like, it doesn't lead into the second one. The second one leads into the third, but the first is kind of its own standalone thing.
Yeah.
But then the second kind of like, it's weird because like one kind of ends on like, they end on such like a weird like note. And then like, you're like, okay, that's weird. And then the second game explains it and you're like, okay. Well, it's like, that kind of gets rid of the weirdness of it.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to play through those at some point because those sound insane but interesting.
I'll explain it just because I don't really think it counts as like a spoiler, because in the first game, like, there's like a mummy or something. It's like this really like old frozen Egyptian princess, and then like at the like apparently she got lost at some point, and then at the end of the game you find her hitchhiking.
Oh,
and you're like that's really weird. And then the second game you find like that's one of the characters in the game. She's like, yeah, I was in disguise for a mission, and then they picked me up. I'm like, what? I was like, I feel like explaining it was even weirder than just having it in the first place.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Alrighty then.
Alright, that's all I really have to say about Zero Escape. So I talked about weird Egyptians and snails.
Yeah, that got really different towards the end.
Yeah, like I said, it's a fucking insane series, and like, like as much as like Danganronpa, it hasn't had as many twists that I felt hit as hard as Zero Escape. Zero Escape had like, Danganronpa like had like a couple. They had like 2 in V3 that got me like, whoa, wait. But then like Zero Escape has those like all the times where I'm like, what? like Danganronpa had like a couple where I was just like, I was mouth agape. I couldn't even talk. I was just watching in like horror. But then like Zero Escape, like it was like a shake my head. It's like, what? Like I actually have a clip of because I streamed the third game, and I saved one of the clips because it was such a funny moment of me reacting to like one of the most insane twists in Time Dilemma. And then just my friend was there with me, and she's just laughing at me all the time. She's like, yep. I'm like, what?
Zach's link to his Twitch is in the description, by the way, so feel free to take a look.
I think that's the only thing on my account, actually, is that clip that I saved. I wish I saved the other clip, because there was another like crazy moment that got me like that, but I don't think I was streaming at that time. And then like that moment's like, okay, I need to stream this on Twitch specifically.
Cool. Well, definitely go check those out. Check out any other game that's piqued your interest, except for the Sakura games. Don't give him any money.
Sail the Seven Seas if you want to play the Sakura games. They're good porn. But that's about it.
Yeah.
Look up the CGs, if anything. Like, there's some that are worth playing, but a lot of them.
Yeah, no, there are a lot of just trash that's been produced just to put something out there, but
yeah, either look up for Sakura games, either look up the CGs or you know, Sail the Seven Seas for those.
I like that phrasing. I think I'm going to use that going onwards to not openly say that.
Yeah, you gotta become a pirate. You gotta sail the seven seas.
Yeah, go out there, adventure, and loot and plunder. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. You can find links to everything in the link dump, along with our Twitters and other social medias, if you feel like following us. As always, we post twice a month, and occasionally we'll have a special episode, so be sure to stick around. Next week, be sure to join us we'll be talking about worst animes we've seen to end off the year. That was supposed to be this episode, but just due to some stuff that came up, we had to postpone it, so sorry for the confusion, but don't worry, we're ending the year with worst animes and starting the year with best animes, so be sure to tune in for 2020 for a strong start. And yeah, thank you for watching.
Bye.